Your mindset is what's been holding you back. And until you change your mindset, nothing else in your life is going to change. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew, and today's topic is the mindset shift that will make you unstoppable. In this topic, I'm going to be looking at a few things. First, I'm going to be looking at fixed mindset versus growth mindset. I'm going to be looking at challenges as opportunities versus challenges as obstacles. And lastly, I'm going to look at the correlation between mental resilience and adversities. All right, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so why is mindset important, right? Mindset is an individual's perspective. It's the way in which you see things, the way in which you process things, and it also contributes to your action, right? The way you see something, the way you process something, the way you think about something dictates how you go about it, right? So let's say, for example, if you're going to take on a new venture, right, and you think that you're good at it and you're going to succeed, that positive thought of you being good at it and your chances of succeeding will prompt you or push you to actually take the necessary step and start that thing, right? But if you have a negative mindset that says, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't think that I'll be able to pull it off, then chances are you're not going to take the step. You're not going to start, right? And even if you do start, you're not going to put everything in that thing that you need to in order to be successful, or at least give yourself the best chance of being successful. So what is a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is typically people that are kind of like rigid. You believe in this particular thing and this way, and that's it. Nothing else, right? So now let's look at growth mindset. What is a growth mindset? A growth mindset is someone who has the mindset of flexibility, right? So you are always looking to grow. You're always looking to change. You're always looking to evolve and get better at everything that you do. And so it starts with the way that you think, the way that you see things, the way that you view the world, your perspective, and how you process things, right? So that's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset equals stagnation. There's no room for growth because you just believe in this thing and this way, and you don't want to change, right? Whereas a growth mindset, you're looking at different perspectives, different approaches, and how you can change a situation and make it better, right? So that's the difference between the two. And of course, you want to be striving to have a growth mindset over a fixed mindset. Obstacles and roadblocks and a mean to deter, a mean to stop, a mean to turn back, right? Whereas, and that kind of falls under the fixed mindset individual. Someone with a growth mindset see challenges as an opportunity to grow, right? As an opportunity to overcome, It's like if you think about exercising, right? For those of you who do weights, for example, when you first started out, you're going to start at a comfortable amount that you can handle, that you can manage. As you break down those muscles and you tear those muscles and you rebuild them and you gain more strength, you're going to increase the amount of weight that you can actually lift, right? It's the same thing with that growth mindset. When you see an obstacle and it might seem daunting, it might seem, difficult, impossible, whatever the case might be. But if you approach it with that growth mindset to say, you know what, little by little, I'll be able to overcome and I'll get better. And you actually go ahead and do that. Of course, you are going to become a better version of the person you were when you first started, when you first take on that obstacle, right? Say if you're on a journey, you're on a pathway somewhere and you run into a roadblock, right? And that roadblock is due to an accident or whatever the case might be. And there's a detour. The detour should not be a deterrence. It shouldn't be, oh, well, the road's blocked, so I'm just going to turn around and go back to where I'm coming from. The detour, it just means you got to go around. It might take you a little bit longer, but you will eventually get back on that path, on your journey, and be able to continue. And so that also falls under that growth mindset, right? I want to share with you guys, before I get into the last point, a book that I read, which I won't say that it necessarily changed my life, but it definitely broadens my perspective on life in general. That book is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And the message in the book is so simple, so subtle, but it's so powerful at the same time, because it talks about rich dad versus poor dad, right? A poor dad, which I would put under the category of fixed mindset. The child goes to the poor dad and say, hey dad, I really want to get this bike for Christmas. This particular bike that I've seen, it's everything that I've always wanted, and I would love to get it for my Christmas gift. Right? The fixed mindset poor dad respond by saying, oh, I can't afford that. We're not going to be able to get it because I can't afford it. I don't have enough money to buy that bike, right? It's too expensive. And that's the end of it. That's the end of the story. That kid won't get that bike. Now, the growth mindset, aka the rich dad mindset, the child goes to dad and says, same thing, dad, that bike, I really love that bicycle. I would love to get it for Christmas. Rich dad says, I don't have the money right now, but let me see how I can get the money that we need to buy that bike, right? And so now rich dad transition from I don't have to problem solving, right? Now he's thinking, okay, how can I make this happen? What do I need to do to make this happen, right? So do I need to pick up some extra shift? Do I need to sell a couple of things that I have in my garage that I don't need? What is it that I need to do to get this money? So now he's on a problem solving path or mission. And by Christmas, rich dad is able to get that bike for his child, because he did not stagnate himself with the idea of, okay, I don't have it, but rather elevate his mindset by problem solving, brainstorming how to make this possible, how to get this bike for his kid. And that's exactly what he did. That is the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. And in the book, that's the difference between the rich dad and the poor dad. It's just a subtle way of thinking, and the profound impact that it can have on one's life once you change your perspective and just kind of shift your mindset a little bit, right? So that takes me to the last point, which is mental resiliency is built through adversity. There is hardly any story where greatness and growth and evolution came about in the midst of comfort. I don't know of any such story. Everything that requires, in order for growth to occur, you need to be able to go through some challenges. Going back to that weightlifting analogy that I used earlier, if you start out lifting 30 pounds, 15 and 15 on each side, right? Dumbbells. And then over a period of time, you gradually improve that. Now you went from 15 to now you're doing 20 or you're doing 25, right? And so on and so forth. That's that. You can look at the 30-pound weight as adversity, right? But you're not looking at it as, oh, I can never get to that. I can never lift that much. You're looking at it as a challenge that you must overcome. And you started out by lifting the 15 pound each, 15, so 30. And you gradually work your way up to now you're lifting, you're pressing 220, or whatever, right? So adversity should never be something that deter you or something that, just throw you off your path. It should be something that you assess, analyze, and if it's something that if it's feasible, if it makes sense, you come up with a strategy to overcome that challenge and get beyond your current limitations, right? By doing that, you gradually realize that you are becoming an unstoppable person, because things that would deter you or slow you down or just completely stop you. You are now realizing that you are in control. You have the power to overcome these challenges by simply shifting your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So you become that rich dad instead of that poor dad. So instead of saying I can't, you then say how can I? Right? And by making that simple, subtle shift in the way you see things, in the way you think, in the way you approach things, that alone can make a drastic positive impact on your life. So for all of you guys out there who are already living and breathing in that growth mindset, kudos to you. Keep it up. Let's continue to do that. And for those who are in that stagnant, fixed mindset, let's change that, right? Let's change that. You can start off by doing simple challenges, right? Simple, attainable challenges. Something that probably you've never done before, but you thought about doing, maybe like playing a sport, whatever that might be, but something simple. Challenge yourself with a simple task, achieve it, and continue to elevate that, right? So make the challenges a little bit harder each time. And then gradually you're going to see the benefit that has on your life because you've changed your mindset, you've changed your action, and therefore you're eventually going to change your outcomes. Your results are going to be better and more positive. All right. So that is it for today, guys. I hope that you did get some value from this one. Until the next one, we're going to continue to grow, evolve, and transform into the best version of ourselves. Peace.